Well, hello everyone, it's Jordan Howard here. And in this video, this is on preachers. So we are going to begin with Ray Comfort. So Ray Comfort goes into the platinum tier because he is the biblically sound preacher. He also does a wonderful job in the area of theology and creation apologetics. And he also emphasizes witnessing to the unsaved, including those who profess to be Christians. So he's got sound doctrine. And next we have Kirk Cameron. Kirk Cameron goes into the B tier. And in that sense, he preaches sound doctrine for the most part. So the only error, there are some errors, including the annihilationist view. But other than that, he's got sound doctrine. Oh, and then the other error would be the endorsements, or some type of endorsements, or promoting the heretical show called The Chosen. So for that reason, he is in the B tier, which is above average. And next we have Ken Ham. Ken Ham also goes into the platinum tier, since he does a wonderful job with creation apologetics, especially in the ministry answers in Genesis. And he also presents a wonderful argument in favor of young Earth creationism. Very good indeed. And next we have Joel Osteen. Joel Osteen goes into the E tier, and because he is a heretic who is fitting hell wide open. And Joel Osteen preaches the prosperity gospel, which is a blatant heresy. And this heresy is a massive insult to Jesus Christ. Especially since Jesus Christ's lifestyle was not luxurious. And Osteen also wrote a book called Your Best Life Now. And that is an obvious red flag, because the only way how this could be your best life now is if you're going to hell. Next, we have Stephen Furtick. He also goes into the E tier, because he too is a dangerous heretic. And he preaches a watered down false gospel, just like Joel Osteen. It's no different. And he also denies the Trinity, which is an essential doctrine. And next we have Paul Washer. Paul Washer goes into the S tier, since he preaches sound doctrine, and he has very good theological views. And he stands on God's word uncompromisingly, and just like the other biblically sound preachers up here. Next we have Voldy Balchem. Voldy Balchem also goes into the S here, since he too had sound doctrine. He preached sound doctrine, and he also stood on the biblical truth, even in areas where it was considered controversial. And next we have Sadie Huff. Sadie Huff goes into the F tier, and because she is a very dangerous heretic. In fact, more dangerous than Austin and Furtick. City have promotes the Enneagram, which is witchcraft by the line. And on top of that, she preaches the prosperity gospel. And she's basically like a female version of Joel Osteen. And she also endorses other heretics, like Stephen Furtick and John Bevere, who is not being placed on the tier list, but if he were, then he would also go into the E tier. Next we have the late John MacArthur. He would go into the A tier, since he preached biblically sound truths, just like how the late Willie Buckham did. So John MacArthur preached a lot of truth, even though I don't agree with him on everything. But the only areas where I disagree with him on are topics that are non-salvation issues, which is why I would still listen to him. Next we have Joe Kirby, from Off the Curb Ministries. He goes into the platinum tier since he preaches excellent biblical truth. And he also has a wonderful way of preaching the gospel. And he also does a wonderful job with videos on topics of Christian living and biblical mysteries. And also on foundational doctrines. And next we have Kenneth Copeland. Kenneth Copeland goes into the foul tier because he is a demonic heretic. Not only does he preach the prosperity gospel, he also does the fake tongues. So when the real tongues are spoken, there has to be someone there to interpret. And the real tongues are always in a known language. It is never in an unknown language. So that means that if it's just gibberish, then it's fake tongues that are demonic. And the false religion of Hinduism also has this practice as well. And Kenneth Copeland is also demon possessed. So for that reason, he goes into the foul tier. And next we have Charles Spurgeon. Charles Spurgeon goes into the platinum tier, and because his theology was very good, and he did a wonderful job with things like preaching the gospel to large crowds, and his books are also profound. And I also have 6 of his books that all come in one book. And next we have Catherine Crick. Catherine Crick goes into the foul tier, and because she is without a doubt one of the worst heretics out there. Not only is she a heretic, she is also a false apostle. She is demon possessed, and she even performs false miracles, which are demonic. And I would not be surprised if she also did the fake tongues. And Catherine Crick is basically like the Kenneth Copeland of Demon Slayer heretics. And next we have Paula White. Well, Paula White goes into the E tier, and because She is another one of those prosperity gospel heretics. And I will also point out that women cannot be pastors in the church, which means that the doctrine of egalitarianism is heresy, which means that it's a damnable lie. And the fact that Rick Warren preaches egalitarianism is one of the reasons why he is going in the F tier. So Rick Warren goes into the F tier because he preaches a watered down false gospel and preaches egalitarianism on top of that, which, like I said earlier, is a damnable lie that is going to split hell wide open. Next we have A.W. Tozer. A.W. Tozer goes into the A's here since he preached sound doctrine and he had biblically sound theology. His theology is very good. Alright, so now you have John Piper. John Piper goes into the C tier since his theology is a hit or miss, so it's average. So simply put, he is not one of the best preachers to listen to, but not one of the worst either. Next we have Bill Johnson. Bill Johnson goes into the F tier, and because he is another one of those prosperity pimps. It's like he is the pastor of Bethel Church, which is a heretical church. And there's a large amount of heresies that this guy preaches behind the pulpit. For that reason, he goes in the F tier. Next, we have R.C. Sproul. R.C. Sproul goes into the S tier. Since he preached sound doctrine. And his ministry, the Ligonier Ministries, is profound. Well, that is all I have to say. And next we have Stephen Anderson. Stephen Anderson goes into the foul tier because he preached the heresies of antinomianism and KJV onlyism. And now bear in mind that I am not attacking the King James Version, but what I'm talking about is the KJV onlyism doctrine, which is heresy. So this self-righteous heresy attacks all the modern day versions of the Bible, even though only a few of them are corrupt. But in fact, there's only about 3 of the modern day versions that are corrupt, which are the New World Translation, the Passion, and the Message. And Stephen Anderson also preaches a hatred for others, which is wrong. And all of this is what the NIFB denomination preaches, which makes them a heretical denomination. For this reason, Stephen Anderson is in the foul tier. Next we have David Platt. And David Platt goes into the D tier. And because this guy unfortunately preaches a woke theology, which is not good. And because he is preaching liberal doctrines. And of course, you know that liberalism is heretical. And it does not belong behind the pulpit. Next, we have Jesse Duplantis. Jesse Duplantis goes into the E tier, because this guy is another one of those prosperity gospel heretics, just like Osteen, the first take, Rick Warren, and Bill Johnson, and Kenneth Copeland. And next we have Joyce Meyer. Joyce Meyer goes into the F tier, and that is for the same reasons as that of the other prosperity gospel heretics. And last but not least, we have Brenda Davies. Brenda Davies most certainly goes into the foul tier, and because she is, without a doubt, one of the worst heretics out there. And that is since she preaches egalitarianism and progressive Christianity, both of which are heretical and go hand in hand. And she also preaches feminism, and she even calls Jesus a feminist, which is blasphemous. Yeah, and that is downright blasphemy. And because if Jesus Christ was here on this earth today, then he would hate feminism. And because feminism blatantly goes against God's word. And feminism also contradicts large portions of the New Testament. And that is it for this. Here it is. Have a nice day, and goodbye.